We called Athens up. They were going to start in July, not March when this happened, and said, we need your help. They came to our rescue. They have a composting facility in Victorville. They were able to haul all of those sardines out once they were vacuumed up and cleaned up to their composting facilities, and it actually has come back now to us as King Harbor Blend compost. So, you know, I can't thank Athens enough and all of the volunteers, but, you know, these are just some of the organizations that helped us out during this event. We had public works crews from other cities, you know, Camino, California Department of Fish and Game. Michael Hewen said this was one of the best executed disaster responses that he's ever seen with his work there. So again, let's give a big round of applause to everybody who helped us, you know, with this effort. It was just amazing. But the story doesn't end. You know, right in the middle of our cleanup effort, the horrific Sendai earthquake occurred in Japan. And, you know, it sent a tsunami wave, you know, 5,300 miles away to our coast. And it was only, you know, 1 or 2 inches. But you think about the volume of ocean water that comes down from across the Pacific Ocean. And as it was entering our harbor, Bill and I were there, and we could see the volume level rise of the water. And it was significant enough that it actually did cause some damage. And you can see some of the damage that occurred through that. So it was an amazing 1-2 punch that hit us during that time. But again, our first responders, public safety, volunteers, everybody was on the ball. And it was an amazing job that was done. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the environment during that time as well. It was the 20th anniversary last year of the Weiland Wailing Wall on the historic AES building. We were so fortunate that Weiland the artist came by. He wanted to refurbish it and also at the same time celebrate Earth Month. And so you can see him painting a little whale there, adding to the beauty of the wall. And in concert with that, we held a big celebration of Earth Day. And in concert with that, we also had a Mayor's Water Challenge to help conserve, improve, and conserve water throughout our city and our region. In a regional competition, we came in #2. There's going to be a national one now as well that we're going to ask you to get involved with as well. But we're grateful for all of the work that Weiland and all the volunteers did that day to help beautify that wonderful piece of art in our city. Okay, also in March, we talked about, we had an election actually. And we were considering doing an all-mail ballot to save some money, and the city clerk had looked into this and recommended it. And I was one of those that were a little skeptical. I said, you know, a lot of people like to go to the polls, and will this depress turnout? Well, as it turns out, we got one of the highest turnouts, you know, in the history of our municipal elections, while at the same time, we reduced about $100,000 in costs. So you know, my kudos and thanks to Eleanor Manzano. Where are you? Give her a big round of applause again for really executing that well. That was really, really cool. All right, let's talk about, during the springtime here, one of the most beautiful areas of our city, the Esplanade. And, you know, these are some pictures that you're going to see of before the project occurred, where we had some great funding to help get this done. You know, it really needed a lot of TLC. I mean, topographically, it's just a beautiful area. You got the coastline, you got the indicator off of PV. I mean, it's just beautiful. But you can see it was just, you know, it needed a lot of TLC. So through the persistence of people like Councilman Steve Aspel, our council, our staff, and so many others, and former Congresswoman Jane Harman, we were able to put together a funding package to beautify one of these most scenic parts of our city. And combined with this, again, is arts. We had Debbie Collette, Patty Lynette, and Q Mishin from the Redondo Beach Art Group that added in some artistic elements to this, so people can now sit and look at the view and look at the water and just walk and take in the beauty of this very, very special place. So again, we are grateful for this project, and we give a big round of applause to all those that were involved in the Esplanade improvements. It was really cool. It's really, really cool. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some other community partnerships that occurred in the spring. Sheriff Fest continues to be a great partner with us. This year they renovated some of the teen center over at Perry Park. They also installed a new barbecue grill as well. And as we start looking at some other community partners as well, our scouts, our local scouts. I know we've got Laura Emdy, whose husband Jeff is involved with Troop 7088. I think I saw Adrian Biggs earlier as part of our group for the Gina Razzi. But some of the, a lot of these projects are done and improvements are made behind the scenes. And I really wanted to give a shout out to these folks as well from Troop 788. They beautified the pond at Wilderness Park. They installed picnic tables at Bernie Elementary, planter benches at Jefferson. Storage room was added to the Anderson Park Child Development Center. I know on another troop, they added some benches out at Wilderness Park. Again, some great contributions to our community. For Scout Sharefest, again, we thank you folks for your contributions as well. Charles alluded to this earlier, I think, as well. Well, actually, no, not this particular one, but let's talk a little bit about international partnerships. You know, we've had a sister city program since the early 60s that included cities from La Paz and Ensenada. And Gentile Smith, who's the president of our Sister City Committee, has done a great job of sort of leading the effort in Mexico and bringing down high school students to experience Mexico to help raise money for orphanages down there. Well, La Paz contacted us and asked for our assistance in helping to host a media day for them to help promote tourism down there. They hired a local South Bay marketing company. We held it at Veterans Park, and it was really, really a great success. And the mayor of La Paz is sitting there right on the right. But as we look at some other future opportunities as well in this area of international relations, we've been traveling to China for the past, since the late 90s. But it wasn't until 2007 that we actually had a formalized sister city relationship with Zhangjiagang, China, and it's a city about 100 kilometers just north of Shanghai. And this is something I think that's really important, because whether or not we want to admit it, China is the #2 economy in the world, and they're going to continue to grow. So the more that we understand China, the more that we can engage with them, learn about their language and culture, and particularly with our young people, I think the better off we will all be. And so I'm really excited that through the leadership of Vicki Callahan and others, we started a China student exchange program. Last year, we had a number of Redondo Union High School students that actually visited China, stayed with host families, which is rare. Normally, you don't get a chance to stay with a local family in China. They, in turn, sent students here to the Redondo Beach, and we hosted them here in the community as well. So this is a great program, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And in fact, I'll be traveling in March to China as well, and to visit them again. And also, Japan, as I talked about one of the blue zones earlier, Okinawa, Japan. This is something that started out with my sister Deanna having a neighbor that worked for the Itaman City local government in Okinawa Prefecture. And she said, "Oh, your brother's the mayor, I want to meet him, I want to introduce him," and all that. So I've traveled to Okinawa 3 times. I got to meet Governor Nakayama here at the lower left. He was in Redondo Beach actually last year to help promote a huge festival called the Uchinanchu Festival, where the Okinawan people from all over the world come together and as a group and celebrate their culture, and they come together on Okinawa Island. But he was very, very impressed with our Vitality City efforts, and there were talks on going to ways that we can exchange and learn from each other in that area as well. So again, this is some of the scenes from last October's Uchinanchu Festival. They had Okinawan people from South America, Europe, Georgia, San Antonio, Texas. I mean, it was Malaysia. It was just an amazing gathering of folks. Okay, so let's talk about, as we continue in spring, a little bit about North Redondo Beach Business Association. They sponsor some great events. One is Spring Fest. The other one is Dying Around Artesia. And you probably noticed some of the signs on the Artesia corridor and banners, the new logo. And this is an opportunity to really sample some of the great businesses up there, the foods and so forth. It's really rich with the types of things that are offered and services that are offered up there. And again, one of the Vitality City things called Harahachibu, you don't have to eat until you're stuffed, like I tend to do a lot of times. You only have to eat until you're about 80% full. So again, that's a great event that's sponsored up there as well. Also during the summer time, as we enter the summer, River Village Summer Festival. Closes off Catalina Avenue. Some great partying and eating and shopping down in that area as well. We're grateful to the RVA for the work that they do putting that together. I also, during the summertime, wanted to feature a new business. This new business is called Internet, and we are really, really pleased to have them in town. They are a internet IT infrastructure company. And so, you know, medium and large corporations that may not want to maintain some of their own IT networks and servers and sources and so forth can contract out with people like Internet that have a worldwide server connection, you know, in different parts of the world. And, you know, it's very important these days is when you go on Facebook or you go on Amazon and go on any website, you want to make sure that it's 99.9999% available, and you want to make sure you get a response back immediately. And so companies like Internet help to make that happen behind the scenes through their hardware services. And so they're in North Redondo in the industrial area up there, and we're very, very pleased to welcome them and be one of their worldwide data centers here in town. Okay, summertime as well is a time for fireworks. Redondo Beach Fireworks, sponsored by a number of people throughout the community. But also I wanted to give a great thanks and gratitude to Pete Mofford for helping to continue that great tradition. All right, summertime as well. Let's talk a little bit more about greenery and bring Athens back into the picture here. They started out in July, went through a very competitive bidding process that actually lowered the rates for single-family residential homes, but also increased the diversion rates so that 75% of everything that we're going to be disposing of now is going to be diverted from the landfill into either compost or recycling somehow. So very, very aggressive contract that the council adopted, and we're very, very pleased to have them on board. They're going to have bulky item pickups, hazardous waste pickups, composting, and so forth. It's a fantastic contract. Okay, on the right-hand side, we were able to get about $618,000 in federal funds from the U.S. Department of Energy, and that allowed us to replace over 1,100 streetlights. You know, we've got those amber orange ones that are in town. We replaced those because they actually use a lot more energy than the LED ones that we installed, and so it helped reduce our costs to only 60% of what we were paying before. So it was really a huge amount of savings to us from an energy standpoint. Also on the left-hand side, we have a new tree trimming contract from United Pacific Services, not the other UPS. And they're able now to develop a program where they'll trim our urban forest every 2 years instead of every 4. So again, some great new contracts and businesses here in our city as well. Okay, let's go back during the summer up to North Redondo. And it's been a vision for a number of folks on the council and in the community and our VBA and Councilman Deals and as well. We wanted to have a sort of North Redondo Civic Center for many years. And we do have that now through the Recreation and Services Department that's headquartered up there. That also includes a police substation. City Manager Bill Workman was actually walking around Artesia, moving naturally, doing the Vitality City thing when he noticed the old cotton shop was for lease. And so that helps sort of start the move that we have there, and it's located right across the street from our LEED certified gold North Branch Library. So it's a great asset. Also, I want to highlight some of the new signage that hopefully you've been able to see around town. The before, where you see some of the sign clutter that we have, and the afterwards now. So we're improving some of the ID image as well, and some of our regulatory signage throughout the city. Okay, it was towards the end of summer and into the fall. It was the 10th anniversary last year of the horrific events that occurred on 9/11/2001. And through the efforts of Leadership Redondo 2007, we have a beautiful memorial that was created in our Civic Center Circle for that. We wanted to commemorate this, and so you see Officer Brian Weiss with our police department, who's a veteran in Afghanistan that spoke at the event. Diane Cagle, who's Woman of the Year this year, along with Jim Chen, who's Man of the Year, helped to lay a wreath in honor of the victims. We also had Captain Eric Baker from our fire department speak about the losses and what it meant to the fire service that day. as well. We're also honored to have Assemblymember Lou, Senator Ted Lieu, Assemblywoman Betsy Butler, Nia Vidal from the ASB of Redondo Union High School as well, Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts there to help commemorate and celebrate this event. And just to remind folks, 343 firefighters died during 9/11 itself, along with a number of public safety officers and thousands of civilians as well. So it was a wonderful tribute to that past fall. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about public safety. Our fire department and police departments. Last year, they combined for a total of 57,000 calls that were received in our community for service. But I also wanted to highlight, our fire department and our city in general has been very good at getting grants, getting outside funds to help bring more of our taxpayer dollars back to the city. So this past year, we were able to get a $250,000 grant from the Department of Boating and Waterways to help install transient vessel moorings out in our harbors. So we're grateful for that. And I know from the state perspective, the Department of Boating and Waterways may be on the chopping block or may be absorbed by another department. So that's something that we're going to be following very, very closely as well. Also in public safety, last year we celebrated the 25th year of our Reserve Officer Corps. And Officer Mike Stark, who's in the middle on that picture on the left, I think puts it really well during this banquet. And he shows this picture of this dark alley in an urban area that's drug infested and gang infested, and it's somewhere you don't want to be. He says, most people would never, for $1 million, would not go down that alley. For a cop, they'll do it for a huge amount less. For a reserve officer, they'll do it for free, and they'll go into that alley and risk their lives. Last year, over 6,400 volunteer hours were done by our Reserve Corps officers and their sworn officers. But this bank was started by the Guthrie family, Les and Marianne Guthrie, along with then the Redondo Riviera Rotary Club, to recognize and commemorate their service. And so last year was the 25th anniversary, and so we're grateful to them for their service to our community as well. Okay, also getting into grants, again, we were able to receive a grant for automated license plate recognition readers. And these are interesting devices. They're mounted on the top of the patrol cars, and they actually scan license plates as they're driving by, and they'll look at your license plate and actually check it out in a database. And if folks are wanted on a felony warrant or a bench warrant or something like that, these folks are likely to cause a crime in the city. So it's a great preventative tool for fighting crime and preventing crime from happening in the first place, but in our community. But again, recognizing our citizen court counsel, our neighborhood watch folks, our volunteers in policing, all of these folks, help to keep our city safe, and we're grateful for their support. A little bit about transportation also in the summertime. I recognized Congresswoman Hahn earlier, but we were able to get $180,000 grants through her assistance after coming on board fairly quickly into the Congress for new buses for the Beach Cities Transit. And BCT is a really important element in our regional transportation network. And with my new job based downtown, I actually take the bus. It's really cool. I take the 438 commuter bus. It's actually run by the City of LA Department of Transportation. I pick it up at Catalina and Carnelian, and it drops me off 1 block from my office, and it's really a cool thing. So we're grateful to Congresswoman Hahn for her efforts with our BCT program as well. All right, let's talk a little bit about economic developments. South Bay Marketplace, I mentioned earlier, we're hoping